Om Shanti. Just sit in silence for some time. Gently move your awareness to the core of your being. Go within. Get in touch with the soul that you are. As I see myself as this point of light, everything that is material around me starts to fade away. I see the truth of myself. I am this being. This being of peace and truth and purity. Everything else that I am is just what I acquired on this journey. I get in touch with the essence of who I am. This pure, blissful energy. And as I get in touch with the core of my truth, I see everything and everyone for who they are. Everyone around me is also a soul. A soul that is pure, peaceful, but has now acquired some sanskars. I see the material world as an ever-changing, constantly shifting, ， , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , , always in motion, phenomena where there is no stability. I move in this world. I operate with souls, being anchored within. I seat myself in the power of purity, power of peace, as I operate in this ever-changing world and with souls that have so many sanskars. My reality gives me the foundation which keeps me so anchored that I can operate with the variety and the ever-changing phenomena outside. Let me sit with these thoughts for some time. Om Shanti. So, we need a relationship with God because God is the one who will give us what we need so that we don't expect it from anybody else or anything else. Because this expectation from that and those who are not even in a position to fulfill our expectations is giving rise to a lot of problems within. Now, we were talking about karma. Now, why are we even talking about karma? First, we need to understand that because whatever we do with our thought, with our words, with our time, energy, with our body, with our relationships, with the hands, or everything has a consequence. And if we want that consequence to be an enriching one, a favorable one, then we need to do it right. And basically, the question these days that most people are dealing with within themselves is, what am I doing wrong to deserve all this sorrow and this pain and this hurt and everything that I'm feeling, or at least this discontentment? Why don't I feel the way I would like to feel? So nobody is feeling euphoric or ecstatic. Everybody is feeling a little bogged down or a little confused or discontented when we talk about the lower like problems, and then going on higher there is an upset. They are upset, hurt, they are feeling unstable inside. So all of this is going on and we do not know what are we doing to deserve this. So everybody thinks that, yeah, I deserve better because I am doing things to the best of my knowledge and ability. So, is there anybody amongst you who doesn't think I'm doing it to the best of my knowledge and ability? Nobody thinks that I'm leaving any stone unturned, or I'm not doing it to the best of my knowledge and ability. So that is why we do not, we now we have to check our knowledge and ability. So there is some problem with the knowledge and ability, because we are doing it to the best of our knowledge and ability and still it is not giving the result it should. Then what are we doing wrong? So I will tell you, we were about to talk about relationships today and karma in relationships. So I have seen people who are giving their whole life to the upbringing and to the development of their children. And then those children are not turning out the way they would like them to be. And then they ask themselves, where did I go wrong, or what did I do wrong with the child? So then these are the questions that we are grappling with, and that is why we are talking about karma in relationships today. So now, when we talk about relationships, first thing that we need to understand is relationships involve people, and people, who are those people? Those people are souls in bodies. Okay, so all those people that you call your own around you are souls in bodies. But you never look at them as souls, do you? You look at them as your something something. Okay, so my mother, my father, my child, my spouse, my friend, my boss, my colleagues. So you look at them as my something. So when you look at them as you look at them, then you are missing out on the truth, which is they are souls in bodies. Okay, so when you see somebody as the way you see them, you are not taking cognizance of the fact that they are not who you are seeing them to be. Every person that you see, and while I talk, I would like you to just cast an eye on everybody that you call your own, or call or see yourself related to. So just have a glance around and just try to think of them as souls in bodies. So they are all points of light sitting in the center of the forehead of the body. And that is who you are dealing with. And the body is just a costume, a cover. And the one you are dealing with is a soul. And who is a soul, or what is a soul? Every soul has only four things: mind, intellect, sanskars. And sanskars are divided into two: original sanskar and acquired sanskar. Okay, so every soul has four things: man, buddhi, original sanskar. So every soul has peace, purity, love, happiness, bliss, and power and knowledge. But every soul has acquired sanskars also. Those acquired sanskars are a product of their journey. So every soul has had a journey, and according to that journey, they could be anything. They could have any set of sanskars. So you have seen very wealthy people shoplifting, or at least heard about it. So shoplifting, the sanskar of shoplifting doesn't have anything to do with how wealthy a person is. So it's about a sanskar, right? You have seen very rich people being very miserly. Okay, so they wouldn't part with a penny. So So it's got nothing to do with how much money you have. Miserliness is a sanskar. So you have seen people who don't have a penny being very large hearted and sharing. But if they have one roti, they can share that chapati or roti with you, give you half of it. So even large heartedness doesn't have anything to do with what you have or what how much of resources you have externally. So everybody has a sanskar, and that sanskar is very individual to a soul's journey, and and the present context doesn't mirror the sanskar. So you could be a deadly combination of very rich and very miserly. You could be a deadly combination of very well endowed and very conniving and always trying to take away something from the other. So you can't stand. You have a lot. You have been blessed in a very big way, and you have all the resources that you would ever need, but then you can't stand anybody having anything in your presence, so you want to snatch that away from any person who is around you. So all that is sanskar, and this sanskar doesn't depend on anything else other than the journey of the soul. So so the present context of the soul, which is they could be in a male body, in a female body. So just like, when we say that you are a woman and you should be like this, and you are a man and you should be like that, so even that doesn't sometimes go properly, because the soul in the female body might have sanskars which traditionally people expect from men. So, because of the journey of the soul, so if the soul has been in a female body for 5 births, and then now the soul is in a male body, then they would exhibit sanskars which were acquired as a result of being in a female body for 5 births. So all of this is not related. The sanskar that a soul carries is not related to the present context, whether it is the professional context, the financial context, the context of gender or religion or anything. So I know there is a person, and he once told me, I have this affinity for candles, and I am a Hindu. I don't know. I always like candles in temples. I don't like diya. I like candle. So, so I said, maybe you were practicing a different religion in your last birth, and that is okay. So all our affinities, all our likes, dislikes, preferences, all our tendencies, personality traits, they are not directly related to just this birth. So every soul has performed a big journey, and according to the journey of the soul, they could be very different or have very different sanskars from what you expect from them, considering their present context. So you could have a child who always stays dissatisfied despite you providing them everything. So that could be because of the past sanskar, but it could be also be because of you. So so there are lots of factors. So past sanskars is also a very big factor. So there is a whole journey that every soul has performed. Now, and you know why I gave this example of it could be because of past sanskar, it could also be because of you. So, once, one brother was sharing with me that he adopted a child, and that child stayed a little aloof. So, he always started thinking that maybe this child was forsaken by his parents, and because he was forsaken, that is why he carries a wound, and that is why he is he is not that amiable or that cordial or that comfortable at heart. And then he started judging that child that way. And then he started thinking, maybe I made a wrong choice in adopting this child. And then that child grew up to be like that. So then he told me, then years later, when he met me, he told me, Didi, probably that child was deserted and forsaken by his parents. So he felt that way. So I said, maybe in the beginning, but then you also added to it miserably because you also kept giving that same energy to the child. So this was, maybe yes, it had its roots in that, but then it was definitely watered by you. So there are lots of factors in why people are the way they are and why we are the way we are. So now, when I'm talking about seeing people around you as souls, then you have to factor in the fact that every soul has had a big journey. And according to that journey, they have a set of acquired sanskars which may not be in sync with their present context. And also, along with this, every soul has a karmic journey. So there is a journey, there is the journey that the soul has performed has resulted in their sanskar set, which is they could be discontented or contented or miserly or having a big heart, or they could be sure of themselves, or they could always be full of doubt. So all of this is related to that journey plus this journey with you, right? Then there is another big factor which we call the karmic journey. So, when I say the karmic journey, so according to the karmic journey, every soul, every soul is, every soul has a certain amount of fortune. Okay, so karma creates fortune. Okay, so and fortune is reflected in the circumstances they encounter and also the abilities they have. Okay, so if I don't have great analytical ability, or I don't have the ability to be very creative, and I don't understand things very well, so this is a karmic thing. So if I have dealt with my life in not a very proper fashion, I will not have a very good buddhi or a very still mind, or I will not have many abilities which other people have. So every soul is endowed differently because of their karmic journey. Okay, but I also gave you this idea that we do not use the word karma indiscriminately, and we go with the word destiny when it relates to past karma. So then when we talk about this karmic journey, it's a good idea to say that every soul has a different destiny. So, according to their journey, they also have different destinies, and that destiny is reflected in the circumstances they encounter. So, some people will always face failure. So, some people will always face unfavorable circumstances. So, that is also because of some karmic journey. Now, the thing is, when you operate with the soul, you should know that you cannot intervene in anybody's karmic journey. Okay, and you cannot change anybody's sanskars. You can only facilitate it and influence it. Okay, so there is no way you can change somebody's karmic journey, or you can change somebody's sanskar, but you can facilitate the karmic journey and you can influence the sanskar. Okay, so now how do you do that? So when you want to influence somebody, so you should be an embodiment of what you want them to become, so that they rub on you and acquire those qualities. Okay, so that is the way to influence. And when we talk about karmic journey, so suppose the child is a slow learner, all right, so that has got something to do with the karmic journey. So, what you can do is, with your capacity of patience and perseverance and loveful guidance and help and giving your time and energy, you can facilitate them to learn, right? But you cannot, you, we can't question anybody's karmic journey. So, why are you not like the other children? Why can't you learn fast? Why do you have to repeat this? Other people say it only once and it is okay for them. Why do you have to repeat it 5 times? So, these are the things we do when we are not aware that every soul is has a karmic journey, and according to that they are differently endowed. They are not less or greater than you. They are only differently endowed. So they may be very good at certain things which you are not. And one of that is that child listening to you patiently, which you can't listen to if somebody said the same words to you. So that is also one aspect of how they are only different from you. They are not good or bad or greater than or less than. So according to the karmic journey, they may have different abilities from your abilities. Now when you forget this, and when you start seeing people, we see ourselves as owners in our relationship, right? My spouse, my child, my mother, my father, my friend. So when you see them like that, you see them as an extension of yourself, and you become very oblivious of the fact that they are different and they are differently endowed, and they have different sanskars from you, and then acceptance goes out of the window, and what remains is expectation and the resultant disappointment and frustration and anger and sorrow. So, this is what is happening with relationships. So, in relationships, you don't do three things. First is you don't reject, second is you don't neglect, and third is you don't attach. So, what creates bad karma in relationships is these three things: when you reject somebody, when you neglect somebody, and when you attach to somebody. Okay, so um, uh, we will talk about what these three words mean. But I had a family friend, and while I was growing up, and once I was probably in the 6th or 7th standard, but we were having a very intellectual discussion in the house, and then I asked that uncle, why do people bear children? So why do you give birth to children? So then that uncle told me, because there are many things we couldn't do in our life, so we want to live that life through our children. So I said, but that is very selfish of you if you want to live your life through your children. So he said, no, but that is precisely why we have children. So some people have it by accident, that is different. But people who think of having children have children because they want to live their unfulfilled dreams through their children. So now, when I came into Gyan and then I reflected upon this idea, I found it very disastrous because you are trying to fulfill your dreams through somebody who may not be in any way equipped to do that. So, when you are attaching with your child, in some way you are trying to fulfill your dreams through your child, and then you want that child to create that identity which you fell short of, and then it becomes miserable because that child may not be in a position at all to do that. So, this is how we are going about in relationships. So, you must be able to see that the child or the spouse or anybody for that matter is not an extension of you, they are a different soul. And when you attach, you are trying to fulfill your expectations through that entity, and you want them to fill in the gap in your identity which lies in your identity, and then you want them to fill that and you want to feel good about it. And this is a very scary way to go about life. So this is about attachment. So we are always so attached. You only attach with things that you think will fulfill you or fill the gap that is there in you. So attachment is a very is an act of selfishness. It's not an act of benevolence as people try to portray it. So people say, तो क्या रिश्तों में attachment नहीं होनी चाहिए? So why do you want attachment? You want to attach because you want to suck their blood. So you are not trying to attach to somebody out of benevolence. It's an act of selfishness. So when you attach to somebody, it is you want them to furnish you with their needs, and then you say, I will give you something in return, but then you only give what you can give, but you expect what they can't give. So it becomes very difficult then. So you don't need to attach in relationships. And that is why, soon, so, we use these expressions, we grew apart or love was lost. So in India, we live in a very close setup. So sometimes we are not able to express these things, but in the Western world, they use these phrases because basically if somebody is sucking your blood, they will not allow that for too long, and this is what is happening in relationships. So there is no need to attach to anybody. You can just be free. You can be free, the other person can be free, and you can be together. And that is the kind of environment we need to create for people we love. And then there is this rejection. So I feel that there is only one idea of right and wrong that we carry, which is somebody who is like me is the right kind of person, and somebody who is not like me is the wrong kind of person. So, so you reject anything that is not like you. So you don't like, so extroverts don't like introverts. Okay. So people who talk a lot will not like silent people. So they will reject them. They will say, these are are you dumb? So I have seen these things happen in front of my eyes. So somebody will say, can't you talk? Are you dumb? So what does that mean? So because you talk a lot, you expect the other person to talk a lot. You expect the other person to talk more than you. And if they are not, if they don't like talking as much as you do, then you will label them as dumb and reject them as not belonging to the intellectual society or something or the other. So that is what we are doing. So we are rejecting people based on our likes and dislikes and preferences and what I think is the right way to be. So I will tell you one thing. There was this one brother who used to come for sessions, and then he wouldn't talk. He would just keep quiet. Like if I asked him something, he would just smile. So once I said, I don't know what that smile means. That smile could mean anything. That smile could mean, why don't you just keep quiet and let me let me be. That smile could mean you are going great. So I want you to say something. So he said, okay. And then he left. And then next day he created a painting, and he was an artist. So he created a painting which had everything that I had shared with him until then. And then he gave me that painting and said, thank you. So I said, thank you. So I didn't know that you are getting everything so right. So he said, मैं ज़्यादा बात नहीं करता हूँ. So that's it. So that these are some instances in life which made me appreciate that the way people express things may be different, but that doesn't mean that they don't mean what you want them to mean. So we could mean the same things but express very differently. So some people love you and they are quiet about it. Some people don't love you and make a big fuss about it, and you think they love you. So, so some people express it differently. Some people express it in other ways. So there are so why we don't take cognizance of the fact that there are various ways of doing the same thing, and then we end up judging and labeling and then rejecting. So we reject people if they are not like us or if their ways are not like us. So sometimes people will say, if you can't engage in a very intellectual debate, you are not intellectual. So I have heard this thing about intellectual compatibility in marriages these days. So they say my spouse is not intellectually compatible. So so what is intellectual compatibility? So because they can't talk as much as you do, you find they are not intellectually compatible. But maybe you are in the same page while it comes to taking decisions and operating in life. Maybe you are just expressing it differently. So if you can just observe somebody, then you will have a better idea of who they are, rather than just seeing and talking and hearing and the physical aspects, the superficial aspects. If you just take into consideration, we end up rejecting people. So how they dress, how they talk, how they look is not a very good indicator of who they are. So this also happens. So this is why when we reject somebody because they are not like us, we are sending an energy of disrespect to them, and then that relationship doesn't flourish, and it also creates very ill karma on our part. Because if we keep doing this to other people, then what kind of a sanskar are we creating in ourselves, right? So this is, and we have a very simple way of feeling better about ourselves. What is that simple way? Do you know? Put other people down. So when we were children, there was this one experiment that we engaged in, which is there was a paper and somebody drew a line on that, and they said, you shorten this line without touching it. So then you draw another line which is bigger adjacent to it, and then it gets shorter in comparison. So when we can't do anything to ourselves, we become shorter or taller by comparison. So So if you want to feel great about yourself, put the other person down so that you feel you are above that person or you are better. So this is one exercise that we engage in all day. And it doesn't look good to say this, but we do it with our children also. So we put down our children to make ourselves feel better about ourselves also. So you can't embrace anybody's idea of right and wrong so that your idea of right and wrong prevails as the right idea. So this is what we are doing. So this is about rejection, and then there is neglect. So relationships, so basically, there are certain there is a pact. So when you bring a child to earth, so up to a certain age, that child is dependent on you, and you can't neglect the child. So you have to cater to their needs, whether it is emotional or physical or financial or anything. You have to, that's an obligation. So if you have brought somebody to the planet, then you have to take care of them. So there is a spiritual law which says, जो रचना करता है वही पालना करता है. If you create something, you have to sustain it. Okay, if you create something, you have to sustain it. You cannot create and then neglect. Okay, so this is a law, this is a spiritual law. So if you create something, you have to sustain it, it's your duty. So just like I told you that I cannot stop this class ever. Why? Because I have become the instrument to create this path for you. So now it is my duty to sustain you on this path. I cannot create and abandon. So you cannot create and abandon. That is a law. And if you do that, then you will be held accountable by the law. So when you create something, you have to sustain it. If you create an institution, if you create a company, if you create anything, you cannot create and abandon. You have to take care of it. If you create a family, you take care of it. So you can't neglect it. Okay, but while not neglecting it, you have to take care not to reject and not to attach also. Okay, so this is the thing, you can't run away from it. You can't suck their blood. You can't reject them if they are not like you. So you can't do any of these. But we eventually end up doing one of these. So either we neglect, or if we don't neglect, we attach and we reject. So so this is the three things that have to be in combination. That is, you don't neglect, you take complete care, but then you don't reject, you accept them as they are, and then you don't attach, which is they are not sent to the planet to fulfill your dreams and needs. They are sent to the planet for a purpose, and you facilitate that purpose. You facilitate that purpose. So you have to facilitate it by yourself being a good instrument. So if I want to inspire you, to influence you, I have to take care of my karma. I have to take care of how I conduct myself, how I be. So I will tell you one thing. In Brahma Kumaris, there are so many surrendered sisters, and across cultures, across religions, like sisters are from the Islamic religion, the Christian religion, they have all come and they are all surrendered, and across countries. So Brahma Kumaris has centers in 140 countries in the world. So but it's a very expanded work. And then I used to wonder when I came to the yagya that how do these foreigners, sisters, and brothers get surrendered? And what is it that makes them surrender? Like, okay, I'm an Indian, so my culture, my language, and everything that they are talking resonates. So I do that. But what happens in foreign countries? And then I came to observe dadis. So the dadis that are there in the yagya. So still we have few dadis, but earlier there was Prakashmani Dadiji and there was Janki Dadiji who left her body some 4 months back. So Prakashmani Dadiji, Janki Dadiji, the sisters and brothers who stayed with them got inspired by their life and by their thought and by their conduct and by their speech, and they stayed with them and became like them. So it is very easy to influence people who are far away, because you can pose to be who you are not, right? But if you want to influence people who are staying with you, you have to be who you are saying you are, right? So if that is why other people say you are a very good person, but family members don't say that. Because they see who you are. Other people hear what you say you are, but those people who you live with see who you are. And for you to be able to influence them, to inspire them, you have to be the best version of yourself. And this is the only way to influence and inspire other people. Okay, so there is no need for rejection or neglect or attachment in relationships, and this will only happen when you start seeing them as a soul and seeing yourself as a trustee of them rather than as a owner of them. So an owner thinks that they can exploit. Okay, so the owner exploits. A trustee doesn't exploit, because you know that it is given to me in trust and I don't have ownership over it. So we are trustee in our relationships, not owners. So about these questions regarding relationships, if you put this class into perspective, then you will find all your answers. And if you need any help with certain situations, you can write it to them on WhatsApp and I will answer that. But that, I think, if you put this knowledge into, if you apply this class to all your relationships, you will get all your answers, because mostly all the discrepancies arise because of one of these factors, either neglect or rejection or attachment. Okay, and I told you that good karma is the privilege of a powerful soul. So you need to come to your own power so that you can perform good karma in relationships. So when you know that everybody has a karmic journey and everybody has a sanskar, why worry? Okay, so about worry, it is said that worry cannot ensure a good tomorrow, but it can ensure a bad today. So worry cannot ensure you that the future is better, but it can worsen your present. So that is the quality of worry. So and about karmic journey, it is said that you cannot intervene in anybody's karmic journey, but in an attempt to do so, you can mess up your own. So if you are being too pushy about somebody being a certain way, then you are creating bad karma in the process. So you can just facilitate and see how much can be done. And if you are trying too hard, so the word too hard, it has a negative connotation to it. So don't do anything too hard, just try hard enough. So if it is too hard, then you have to stop doing it. So that is how it goes, and you have to accept that they are not an extension of you, and you don't have a control over their destiny. So this is something that everybody needs to accept before proceeding to relationships. So if you are trying to control their destiny, or you are trying to control their sanskars, you will end up in a bad space, which we are all ending up in. Right. So this is something we need to know. Okay, let me take the questions then. So karma in relationships was a big chapter. So now I'm happy it's done, over and done with. So we will talk about other things tomorrow. Okay, I have 3 questions. Can we give power to weak souls? Yes, by being powerful. So that's how you give power, right? So um, there is an expression, company colors, sankarang. So if you are powerful, they are in your company, they will get power. And if you are weak, they are in your company, you weaken them further. So that is how it goes. Okay. Are we related to persons related or meet in this birth with previous birth and last? Okay, so who you meet in the present birth, is it related to your past birth? It could be, it may not be. Maybe you are meeting somebody for the first time, maybe you don't meet anybody for the first time. So if you are feeling, if you are emotional about them, right? Like you meet somebody for the first time and they make you feel something, whether good or bad, then you have met them in the past. And if you don't feel anything, then maybe you are yet to create an emotional account. So that's one indicator, but then one cannot talk of these things very clearly. Okay, how the number of souls increase when same soul is taking birth again? So I told you that there is a home of souls, and from that home, from that Brahmalok, Paramdham, Shantidham, we don't all come at once. Okay, so everybody comes at a different time. Who decides on that time and how that time is decided, we will talk in the future sessions, but not everybody comes at the same time. So some come early, some come late, but once you come, you don't go back from the middle. So you keep taking rebirth and others also keep joining. So this is the way it operates. How to adjust sanskars with present context? So you can only do this for yourself, which is if your present context is that of a boss and you have a sanskar of not being very firm with your words, then you need to train yourself that this is my role. So I have to train myself in this sanskar. So, like I will tell you that when I took on this role of a teacher, so I am not a very preachy kind of a person. So I am very easy to go with. So I had to train myself to be in this role in some manner. So you have to take cognizance of your context, and also very consciously train yourself in qualities that are expected of you. Okay. Is there a way that we can change the habit of someone eating non-veg, especially if the one we are in a relationship like girlfriend or boyfriend? Okay, so first you have to be comfortable with who they are. So, so first you change your habit of not trying to change their habit, and then probably with mutual respect. So mutual respect is when between two people, the bridge is mutual respect. So if you start respecting who they are, then they also start respecting what you want of them. But if you reject who they are, they will also send you the same energy. Okay, so if you say you are an animal eating non-veg, they will say you are eating ghas poos and you are a good for nothing. So this is how it goes. So when you develop respect for who they are, you say, okay, they are who they are, and they can do what they like, and I'm okay with it. Then they will also start asking you someday, do you like this or do you want me to change? And this is what mutual respect does to you. It strikes it gives the it sparks up a conversation which is based on mutual respect for each other's ideas. Okay, so you have to first be okay with they not changing their habit. How can we influence other people's sanskars and create what we want? So you have to stop wanting first. Okay, so stop wanting anything. If you are trying to want something, you nowadays these youth use a very good word which is desperate. You are sounding desperate. So if you want something, you are sounding desperate then, and desperate people don't get anything. Okay, so this is why you have to stop being desperate, and you have to stop wanting anything, and everybody should understand that you don't want anything from them, and only then they want to know what you want. Okay, so can they also influence us? Of course they are influencing. What about relationships? Everything that you watch and hear and do is influencing you. You binge watch on a serial and you start talking like the protagonist in that serial. Okay, so everybody is influencing you. It's not like there is nobody who is not influencing you. And what is happening in our life? So if you get influenced by somebody, then your mind is influenced, so your life is influenced, definitely, right? Okay, what if they are thinking of negative things to happen to us? See, it depends on whether their negativity is more powerful than your positivity. So if you leave the door open and you invite all that energy that they are sending into your life, then they will be able to influence you. But if I told you you should have a mind door which is open only from the inside, so if you do that, then they cannot influence you and their negativity won't influence you. Sister, is it possible that fears from our soul's previous journeys in other bodies have been carried on to this life? Yes, it is possible. How can we identify them and diminish these weak sanskars? So, if there are fears, you come to know about them, right? Now, how do you overcome these fears? By, it is said knowledge is power. So, if you know that this is not who you are, this is what you have acquired, then you can overcome it. Right? So, until now, you said that I am a fearful person or my personality is fearful. But now, when you start telling yourself that no, I am a very strong and a very I'm an indestructible soul, so I don't have anything to be afraid about. This is a sanskar. So if that sanskar comes up, I have to deal with it differently. So, about fear, you should know that the sanskar of fear is not the problem. The problem is what you do when that sanskar crops up. So, when that sanskar is triggered in a situation, you can do either of two things. A, you can face it with courage. B, you can face it with cowardice. Okay, so whenever that sanskar of fear it comes up and you detect it, that my mind is feeling afraid right now, so you pull up your courage and say, I'm better than my fear and I can deal with it. And once you do it 2 to 3 times, then your what do you say, your conversation with yourself about yourself changes, which is you start telling yourself, no, I'm a courageous person because I dealt it with courage. So this is the way you deal with fear. Okay, what to do if we are the receiver and not being intellectual, we are in the receiving end and not being intellectual because we speak less. So this is what you should know, that you are okay the way you are. And if other people are not able to appreciate that, that's a problem with them. So, and you need to assert this. So, you need to be okay being yourself, and that is assertion enough. And then slowly, gradually, people will start talking about these things. And, you could also initiate these conversations sometimes, like whenever you are sitting in a drawing room with five people, or you are in an environment where other people are there, you could just talk about these things, that why is there less of acceptance, and why you could talk about this quality, this tendency to reject people who are not like them. So this makes them think about what they are doing. So not from a place of charging them or blaming them, but just invoking to the knowledgeful self. You could do that sometimes. And I tell you, a conversation which has its base in mutual respect has great power. So if you just start these conversations in your drawing room or in a group of people who you are with, then this also leads to a shift in the thought process. And it's a very good way. So basically, we are doing that here, no? So this you can do with other people. What is faith? Can you explain with some examples? So so in the Arabic tradition, there is a very good example of faith. So they say tie or camel and then trust in God. So don't leave your camel loose and then trust in God that God will take care of the camel. So what is faith is you do things right according to the knowledge that you're being given, and then you trust that according to the law you will receive well. So that is faith. So faith need not be blind faith, that is, you're not doing what you should do or need to do, or you are overdoing it or doing abusing it, and then you have faith. That is not faith. So tie your camel and trust in God. So that is a good example of faith. I like this phrase very much. Who decides a soul's rebirth, gender, and place? So I will talk about the transitioning of a soul and how you get a new body based on your karma and your other things. So we will take this up, Anand bhai. Okay. So, and can humans take rebirth as animal or bird? No, humans only take human births. We will talk about this also. Probably the next session we can take on this. Okay. What is karma from sorrow? So, we will talk about that. So, there is a third kind. We have not talked about all the facets also. So, we will finish this karma theory in detail. Are marriages made in heaven pre-decided? So, so, so marriages are made in heaven or not? See, everything is pre-decided, but then pre-decided, and so destiny and karma are two sides of the same coin. So what you pre-decide with your karma in the past becomes your destiny in the present. Okay, so it's not pre-decided by somebody else, it is pre-decided by our own karma. And it is not made in heaven. You can make it a heaven here, but nothing is made in heaven. So we make it a heaven or hell here, I think so. Can we give power to soul from a distance? Yes, for a soul, there is no distance or close. So a soul is related to another soul by thought. So you can sit here and think, and it reaches the right person. How to handle intimidation? So, with courage. So, uh, anybody who is scaring you because they are banking upon your sanskar of fear. So, if you pull out the courage in you, you can intimidate them. Okay, so, and there is nothing more intimidating than a fearless person. So, if you are fearless, then you will not be intimidated, and other people can get very intimidated if they have something ill in their heart for you. So, just pull your courage out. Shall we stop someone from doing bad karma if it is in our power? Yes. If it is in your power, you should do that. So, but I so I will give you an example of this. So, sometimes we are in a position to stop somebody by using our power. Like, there is a sister who was sharing this very beautiful thing with me. She said that my children eat a lot of chips and junk food outside. So she said, see, I could stop them right away because it's in my power. So I can stop them and tell them you're not allowed or not give them money. But I didn't want them to not understand and then try to find ways to do it on the sly. So what I did is I made a list of the ingredients in these products which are harmful, and then I educated them about that, and then I asked them to look it up on Google themselves. And then now when they go to the store, they pick up a packet, they see the ingredients, and they say, Mummy, this has this, so this is bad for the bones, so we will not have this. So she said that I could do it in both ways, but then when I tried to believe in their knowledgeful self and try to give them a good reason and a logic and bring them to a place to self discipline themselves rather than me disciplining them, I could ensure that this is more of a lasting nature. This change is more lasting in nature rather than a very short lived one. So this is something. Okay. Can souls who have left their bodies connect with and communicate with their last family they were with? Do you want them to? So, so why invoke things you don't want to be there? So, these things can go very wrong. So, I don't think we should go in that zone, because once you start with that in that zone, then you start invoking it in a very subconscious way. Okay, so I don't deal with these things. Okay, can you repeat the phrase what you said now? Which phrase? I forgot. Anyways, what is then moksha? No more rebirth, right? No, there is no moksha. There is no moksha. We will talk about that. So every seed is born to become a plant. So every soul has to take a birth. There is nothing like moksha. Moksha is an idea flouted by lazy people. So it's there is no moksha, and you shouldn't want moksha. Okay. Uh, tie your camel and trust in God. Okay. Can you please explain? I didn't get it. Okay. So so in Arabic countries, they have camels, right? So they have to tie them in the night, and they can't not tie them and trust that the camel will be standing there in the morning. So that is what tie your camel and trust in God means. All right. Chalo, let's meditate. Sit still and quiet. And experience the light of knowledge coming from the ocean of knowledge, dispersing the cobwebs of my mind. I, the soul, had gathered so many cobwebs, accumulated so much of dirt, of belief systems, conditioning, body consciousness. All of it is getting dispersed with the light of knowledge. The sun of knowledge is shining on me benevolently. All the darkness is getting cleared out. I am receiving clarity. This wisdom is so empowering and liberating. I have diagnosed the problem, found out the solution. Only one step remains: implementation. Thank you, Baba, for this wisdom, for this light of knowledge. Just sit in this experience for some time. Om Shanti.